Today at Embr, its hosts Robb, Vallozzi, and Jason Dominique and their guests are not financial advisors unless otherwise disclaimed. The content on Today at Embr is for educational and entertainment purposes only and merely cite their own personal opinions. Know that all investments involve some form of risk. Please work with an investment professional. And now, on to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Today at Embr. We are blessed with Robb's presence in Miami, live from the Bitcoin 2022 conference. How are you going, Robb?
Doing fantastic, Jason. Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I was a little unsure of where I was going to be able to do this, considering how busy it is over here. But I'm live from the Nautilus Hotel here on South Beach, right across from the convention center. So hopefully you guys are able to hear me loud and clear and ready to report on all the exciting stuff that's been going on here all week.
Amazing. So obviously this is not a paid partnership with Nautilus. I don't know why Robb mentioned the Nautilus, but no affiliation whatsoever. But Robb, amazing. So tell us, what was the talk of the town today at Bitcoin?
There's quite a few subjects. Of course, we're going to get into all the stuff that I've been seeing. I'm still here for the rest of the conference all this week. I have not seen every booth. It's a massive conference, but I have to say the real big talk of the town right now is Web3.
Oh, well, that's not really surprising. Thinking about, ultimately, I think looking back to the previous conference that you did in Miami, what was it called again?
Decentraland. There's Decentral.
Decentral. And from what I remember, and that was not too long ago already, but I think the main subject was mostly NFTs.
Also too, that was back in December, different convention center. Not only was it about NFTs, but also the level of professionalism, which means something like this, that's, the Bitcoin 2022, which is probably one of the largest crypto, but especially Bitcoin expos that are there. Also, even my necklace, which I don't have on me, even it says Binance on it. So even, they're highly involved here. So this is,
Wow.
Very professional booths, professional layouts. Some of the pictures, I will be posting to our socials, but the level of professionalism and the level of quality and also the level of participation from traditional finance. They also had a very big presence here as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how sort of the event is gaining in terms of attention locally or obviously internationally, because I wouldn't be surprised that most guests are actually obviously not from Miami or even beyond the States, probably international, but the level of attention I think of this year's Bitcoin conference was just pretty unprecedented.
Absolutely. This is definitely an international event. You'll see, a wide variety of attendees from multiple languages. Very large presence from Asia, not only when it comes to attendees, but also when it comes to actual people that have a booth. They're actually making demonstrations and stuff. So wide variety across the board. I think this is one of the largest ones they've ever done. And, that was shown when, even here, in the States, we have NBC, nightly news, where it was even, where they actually flew out Lester Holt down here in front of the large bull that they built, especially for this conference, to do a live, teleconference on there to speak about it, talk about the amount of not only revenue that this industry generates, but the amount of buzz that's happening, and really that this could be a turning point, especially too when there's a lot of talk here in the States now about recession comes to traditional finance, what's going on with the stock market. That investors, there's going to be ups and downs when it comes to the market, but that they're going to be looking where to put, money. Rich people have money always. They're looking somewhere else to invest it, regardless of what's going on in the conditions of the market. But people are starting to look a lot at DeFi and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it makes absolutely perfect sense when you think about bringing national and if not international attention to Web3. I mean, even recently, my girlfriend, she was noticing, or at least she was bringing to me this idea that everywhere she looks right now, it's like crypto everywhere. It's like, and I think that most people aren't necessarily very familiar with what it is, but bringing this attention and level of coverage will help at least introduce what it is, and what's the potential power and opportunity behind this technology. But I think that from I mean, it's been talked about for the past year, I would say, but Miami is definitely making waves in terms of trying to be this epicenter of DeFi or crypto or Web3. I mean, I guess it's probably something you can feel over there.
Absolutely. I mean, we've always had, discussions, especially with Miami, when it comes to finance in general, the world in finance, whether, sometimes it has bad reputation, especially, we're one of the largest, we're pretty much the port when it comes to not only goods, but when it comes to financial services to South America and the rest of the world. Miami really considered not even really part of the United States. It's more part of the Caribbean and South America at this point. It's always been an ongoing joke. But the mayor that we have now, he's famously, I think it was discussed last year, where he's only being paid in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin. And he really has put this initiative where he wants to really draw, because, South Florida has, there's not really much when it comes to economics and, when there's tourism, and that's basically about it. So they want to be able to attract, like they want to get us an idea of where the real city. So they have an initiative they want to make this the Silicon Valley, but using the sector as DeFi as the platform to do so. Because we don't want us to be known for, just building condominiums and having, waiters at hotels. They want to have like a real industry here, which we've never had before. So he's really trying to drive that narrative, and he's giving a lot of tax incentives, and he's doing the city coin idea, where it's a way to raise funds for city projects that by using an actual decentralized community, as opposed to having go through the legislature, et cetera. I think that's really making a mark.
Yeah. I mean, again, this infrastructure of DeFi, and just how we, went through the process of ideation to launch. I think with everything that's coming, that we're putting together with Embr.org, it's not just crypto projects. The fundamentals of the project that will be empowered by this new technology. It's pretty much, you have to think of it as Kickstarter 3.0, in the sense that, once it's mainstream, everyone will use this tech to pretty much launch anything. So it makes great, it's definitely a great initiative at a city level to say, what, let's empower citizens to with this infrastructure to launch these type of project, and be decentralized in terms of this funding, but also decentralized in regards to the ownership of these initiatives. So I think it's a great model, and should be thought through for beyond Miami.
Well, it's funny because I actually was making a joke when they were talking about city coins at one of the expos that I was at. I had a speaking engagement there, and I was like, they must watch the show for today at Embr, because one of the things, this is going full circle about, with Web3, with our checkout, with the widget, part of the revenue will be used for give back. Where there's going to be, some level of philanthropic endeavor where the community gets to vote on where should these funds go, where should that be beneficial, and that's really what Citycoin is doing as well, where they're able to offer that, where what do we need infrastructure wise, or what kind of pet project the city wants to do, that the legislators, especially in America right now, is pretty much all of government is really non-functioning because no one can agree on anything. So they have to look for different avenues, and I think they're taking a page out of our playbook, in all honesty.
No. I mean, ultimately, not everything can be run as a DAO, utilizing smart contracts to pretty much get things executed. But there's a lot of things that can run very, very smoothly just by simple voting rules and democracy and just get things done. Ultimately, these levels and of government bureaucracy and well, I mean, we're just speaking about government bureaucracy right now because we're talking of city level decisions. But I think it applies also to the business itself. A lot of it can be run on autopilot in regards to let's just bring this to be voted on and let's execute on it. And there's no like real manager per se. It just like what should we be working on, and it's brought to the community, and then we just execute on it. And yeah, I think it's a really great initiatives. But beyond that, Rob, so obviously you didn't go there just for entertainment and the Nautilus Hotel. Uh, but so you went there obviously to meet with some of our partners, which was again another opportunity to continue building a relationship with them. And not too long ago, they announced something pretty massive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which was, our partnership with Wire, which we're gonna have next week for you guys to tune in. This is a day at Embr Live. Well, we're having guests with our new season. Next week we're gonna have Jamal, who's head of crypto strategy for Wire. But a large portion of them that were coming here to the event, unbeknownst to them, was also going to be a celebration. Them being acquired by Bolt for $1.5 billion. That's billion with a B, which is massive for a company like that, and massive for us as having a partnership with them. From my understanding, I mean, of course, these things have to be worked out. Not everyone is privy to these sort of high-level, negotiations in an organization. That's pretty common. But they want to be able to, having the full weight of Bolt behind them to make a lot of their products and services even more robust that we can actually take advantage of. So I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, from what I can understand, it's also this transaction sets a precedent in regards to the biggest merger and acquisition in the crypto sort of sphere. So this is absolutely massive, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. If you think, I mean, we absolutely didn't know anything about it, but we
Nor
were
did most of their company. Most of their employees had
really.
absolutely no idea. Yeah, but I think when I was speaking to, I don't want to name drop them, but said about 97% of the organization, when I attended that Wire event, they said they just learned about it in the last 24 to 48 hours. When we
Wow,
did.
this is really really epic. I mean, obviously most of these discussion can't really make it to the public too fast, and it's obviously not because you don't trust your organization or anything like that. It's just this information is so sensitive. But yeah, it's I think what's really great for thinking about without putting us too much on the spotlight. I think when you look at the actual flow now, going from Bolt to Wire to Embr, I think this really completes the full loop. The in regards to going from e-commerce fiat to all the way to DeFi. I think this is an absolutely amazing opportunity, obviously for the space and for Bolt's client, but having us built a relationship with Wire, I think this just cements this, the fact that we want to continue working with them because we. I mean, they couldn't be there's no better partner to do so.
I'm and also too is that what I was well, how surprised I was because you and this of all people, Jason, you have a lot of discussions with potential partners, and a lot of it is I am the sales guy, so I understand they want to schmooze their client to be able to bring them on board. So a lot of times they're kind of blowing smoke, but the level of enthusiasm and when I arrived and seeing people in person and talking to them face to face for the first time, and seeing how bullish they are about what we're doing. and they see the power of what we're doing. And then any of the other people I met from the organization that I've never talked to on a Zoom meeting, I never heard of, and then they start talking about Embr already. So there's already discussion and buzz within the company. They've seen the podcast. They've seen the checkout, how that works. You know, I'd be like, have you seen the checkout? Like, oh, I saw the whole thing with the guy James, I guess, on your podcast. And I was like, man, so there's really, you know, some interconnectivity within inside the organization about how excited they are about us.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I mean, to be frank, I'm starting to get also this kind of feedback indirectly, specifically about the Today at Embr platform that we built. You know, obviously this when we began it you know, we just thought about, you know, how can we keep our community in the loop about what we're working, you know, on, and put transparency at the forefront and consistency about doing it. And now I think we're at episode 20, which, you know, when you think about it, it's not 100, but
flies.
Yeah, it flies. And a lot of people have been watching that season's premiere for our second season with James. And a lot of people have gone, you know, came back to me and said, you know what, like it makes absolute sense. And they're starting to understand what we're about. And people get genuinely hyped about it. I mean, just recently I was on a phone call, not a phone call. I mean, what are those?
Yeah.
I was on a Zoom or a Meet or whatever, and we were meeting with an outside firm to ramp up sort of our engineering back end, and we wanted to sort of show the Embr sort of checkout. So we went through a quick demo of Builder, and literally those engineers, those blockchain engineers, they literally like stepped back and they were like, "What? Like really? Like is this like even my like looking at this? Even my mother could use it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly the point." And you know, it's still version 1, but you know, there's a lot of things that we can't wait to update the community on, you know, specifically in regardings to how we're gonna you know, interact with the money in the crypto in the background of checkout, you know, building our own router and etc. So yeah, it's really looking promising. So I'm ecstatic about the fact that you're feeling this energy over there from the people.
I mean, not just feeling it, also too when it came to how they introduced me to other people at this event that are not associated with Wire. So the way how enthusiasm, I mean, really, you know, kind of blowing us up. Like these guys are going to be, you know, and I'm not trying to be speaking hyperbole here, but you know that these guys are going to be huge. Like what they're building with their technology. I mean, it's so easy and it works. They were literally blowing us up, and I was like, man, I'm like, you know, because we sort of live in our own echo chamber a bit, you know, being part of this organization, us talking to one another, and we do have discussions. And I think this was so integral about me coming to this event. Was, you know, we had discussions with people in our community who are also part of our own echo chamber, and but to be face to face with people and really, you know, body language is the majority of language, anyways. You know, not just, you know, what you say, it's how you say it. You can see the level of enthusiasm that was there for us and what we're doing, and how excited they are, and how approachable they are as people. This is also the crypto space. That's maybe a discussion for a different episode of how they're kind of opaque when it comes to you know, being able to discuss stuff with them. So I mean, they were on board when it comes to our personalities connecting and our product, and it was really inspiring.
Cool. Yeah, that's really exciting. I can't wait to speak with Jamal next week from Wire, and you know, maybe get a little bit more insight into, you know, what's happening, what's next. Because I hear they're, you know, this is just the beginning for them. You know, there's a lot, you know, on the roadmap, and I can't wait to see, you know, what's in it for us, you know, and how we can take advantage of this, you know, of this extra partnership as well, and empower and deliver a better service of on ramping to our whole community and to the DeFi at large. So yeah, I'm excited. It's such an integral part of gaining mass adoption. So
yeah, absolutely. And also too, I also want to bring this up also as well, because I'm meeting with them today. Another partnership that I'm meeting with is great to face, so I can't wait to see how this interaction is going to go, is our partners from Hackin. They're also here. So they're an
cool.
integral part of us as well. And a lot of other vendors that I spoke to when I was discussing what we're doing, they're all aware of Hackin. They all use them. They know that they're like the next big thing when it comes to cybersecurity and audits. So to have them as an integral partner also as well, I think sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it all comes down, and this is something we've been repeating from the beginning, is you want to, surround yourself with people that sort of believe in the same thing that you believe, that have the same rigor, the same values, and the same vision, and ultimately, I think the same objective of. Doesn't matter in what vertical they're working in. Hacking, it's all about trust and security, and with this, there's obviously going to be more adoption. If the space is being more transparent, most trustworthy, and more secure, then they're aligned with what we're working on. And same thing with Wire. If their main goal is to make the whole process as frictionless as possible, the least amount of steps, and the best experience, best in class experience, then yeah, we're aligned. And I think that from the beginning, our goal was to really surround ourselves with people, that exude this type of everything that I just explained. And by doing so, we're setting ourselves up for success, and we're starting to see it right now. We empower each other, and it's a win-win-win. So I'm excited. Yeah.
And I think also, before we move on to the next topic, I just want to bring up also, I think it was another reason why people are so enthusiastic is a lot of times, and for those that are unfamiliar, who never attended trade shows or when it comes to these kind of conferences, a meetup of the minds really in whatever your sector is that you specialize. But a lot of times these things are reactionary. So in other words, that when we arrived here on the scene, there was Web3 material everywhere, huge signs, and gigantic, animated billboards talking about Web3, a lot of discussions at the booths about Web3, but no one's actually integrated in it. So in other words, like, they probably knew that was the theme like a week ago, and they're all talking about these ideas of where it's coming from. When I was in discussions with people and showing them, and like, wait a second, this is already going, this is already built, like you guys have already done
This
it. Like,
this is Web3, is it's not theory.
yeah, it's not theoretical. Exactly. Like this is already ready to integrate. Like, you guys had the foresight to build this how long ago? Like, and how long have you guys been doing this? Like, a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to, burst their bubble, because a lot of thought it took us years to take development to be able to have something like this going. I mean, it's like, hey, it's been on a chalkboard for probably a long time, but it goes to show what we're, that we're really on the forefront of what's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's different angles to what we're doing, but we, like you say, what we feel that our positioning couldn't be at a better moment. They always say, and there's a great TED talk, I think, on this subject around ultimately what is the most important metric, or at least element in the success of any great idea. And most people will say, well, partners, funding, all these kind of typical great and answers that make a lot of sense. But ultimately, it's timing is everything. And I think that beyond everything right now, it's the timing is perfect, and that's why it's just everything makes sense. And yeah, super stoked. Beyond this, the people that you met over there, and there's something I want to bring up, and I want to know if, because there's a few articles that came out today or yesterday about making crypto a little bit more green, and I'm pretty sure this is also a pretty big topic at Bitcoin 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. Big discussion here, especially too, like I said, with initiative with Miami was talking about, trying to bring people along. We do see ourselves as the sunshine state, so we will be able to hopefully implement some more green initiatives. Especially, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of naysayers to cryptocurrency talks about the effect on the environment of how much energy it actually uses. And I guess, yes, there is a case to be said that obviously that's why they're making changes. But when you compare that, that's the big discussion, is the big green initiative in cryptocurrency, especially when it comes to mining, and just on the blockchain in general. Computers need to be on for this whole thing to work. That obviously requires energy consumption, and how we receive that energy hopefully is in renewables. And there's a big push on that. A lot of vendors, it's also the first time I've ever been to something like this where there's people, like solar panel and battery vendors at a cryptocurrency thing, which is highly unusual. You see, all in one rigs. I sent you some pictures, and Eli made some comments of they took a container from container ships, all in one, already built out with all of the GPUs to do the mining with solar panels attached to it.
Ready to go. Plug and play.
Just drop it into a field somewhere that has an internet connection, and you're ready to rock.
You're mining.
Yeah. So I imagine just have these lined up, and it was a big, hard push for that. And another thing they were talking with a lot of these, I guess sort of this TED Talk kind of formulas about how much traditional centralized banking uses comparable to this DeFi world. Because they're pushing that misinformation about like, oh, look how much it requires. But if you actually break down the math, considering everything that has to go on, with checks and balances and the level of manpower and to keep lights on to be able to do all this, it's a vast amount of energy that really shadows of how much the in comparison to what cryptocurrency costs on the environment and energy.
Oh yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's not really a debate around energy. I mean, this is a solvable thing, and it will be solved. The sort of source of energy, how renewable it is or not to power this mining. I think it's like that's not the debate. It's already won by the blockchain. I mean, that's like right now you want to send like money overseas, and it's like it's not easy. You need like lots of things, and it's not going to be instantaneous. Rather than now you want to send money anywhere in the world, and it's almost rather instant, and it's depending on the blockchain you're working on, and the tools and the softwares and the services. You can go from completely trustless to decentralized and everything, but ultimately the blockchain, that's the future. That's been won. So now they're sort of scrambling and trying to say, what, running a bank is actually greener. Well, I don't care if it's greener or not. You're just so has
still gotta
been.
wait. You still gotta wait 2 weeks to get your transfer.
You still has been. It doesn't change the fact that you're a has been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, they're just hating right now. They're just hating.
Of course, but they also made a presence here. I mean, there was and I'm not going to drop so much of traditional finance names, but you can see the I guess the mainstream world when it comes to mainstream finance, mainstream media. They're definitely have a presence here. So they're starting to see that the tide is turning a bit. And I think also speaking about when it comes to green energy, that you said that argument has been won. I think now it's also cost effective at the end of the day. I mean, that's really what this is. People are out here to make money. If this is the cheaper option, that's what people are going to do. And hey, if it benefits the earth,
bottom line.
Then if it benefits the earth at the same time, hey, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's the bottom line. Ultimately, I mean, it's the bottom line. It's user experience. It's everything. So, our whole focus, it's really mostly on the application layers. It's making the whole experience much more graspable and user friendly and all those sorts of things. But yeah, great to know that it's also something, because I was saying in regards to green mining and things like that, because down in Texas you have Elon that's always making waves. If it's not for the cyber rodeo. It's it's about the this new partnership that they have from the solar power and Blockstream and Block. And they have this new sort of pilot project. It's sort of a solar city, pretty much, that's going to be totally transparent in terms of you'll be able to see the level of energy required to actually mine, and that's obviously a proof of concept at a pretty large scale. But with that in mind, then they'll be able to easily debunk that, even if it's a proof of work, then it can still be green.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think that was an effort also to, I said, to debunk what I was saying, what we were saying earlier. I also think that even on a more of a meta level as well, not Meta the company, but the actual term Meta, that it was and I know there's some part of the reasoning for doing so is also because Texas is not, regulation. Elon Musk has been very vocal about the regulation in California. Texas is the total opposite of that, where a lot of things are deregulated. But I think it's a bold statement to really what is the fossil fuel capital of the United States when it comes to oil production, refineries. I mean, that is it in Texas for
it's
him
not
to.
green. It's
Yeah, yeah,
technically not
exactly.
green.
Yeah, so yeah, for him to put a stake in the sand and say, really, right in front of their face and say, we're going to do this green, we're going to do this here, and this is how it can be done, and we're going to show you, our work, and that it's possible to do so.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I'm curious because there's this massive event in June, which is, I think it's called Consensus by CoinDesk, and it'll probably be a lot of the subject over there. I wouldn't be surprised that green and all those sorts of things will be very much an integral part of the conference with that initiative, especially.
Yeah, they have. I think that a lot of times, and we work this way as well, is that until the actual parent company, the person like Elon makes that announcement, maybe there's probably quite a few vendors here who already are, kind of trying to be contractors or maybe already be in contact with them. Now that announcement has been made, and like I said, after we're done here, I'm going to be going back there. I'll be here for the rest of the day and probably until Saturday. That we'll see them talking a bit more about how bullish it is, because Elon Musk, like him or not, he does set the tone, especially in the cryptocurrency space. Whether for good or for bad, we saw what happened
He's
last year.
become a living meme. He's become a living
Yes.
meme.
So he does set the tone here. So now after that happening, I'm sure they're doing the, as we say here, doing the
split.
waltz. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they're super excited about it. So
Yeah.
I think it's something that's, when I go back over there, I'm gonna take a little more attention to.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, we're gonna let you go back to your conference and try to not be too get back to us with your head the right format. I know that people are making you feel like you're all the talk of town with checkout and everything, but when you're back, we back to business.
I know, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. Like I said, I'm really just a liaison for you guys. You guys are really the mastermind behind this. It's an easy product for me to be able to push and represent. So I'm just really just lucky, in all honesty. But as they say, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. At least there's a few good people, in the team. So
Yeah, exactly.
we send the lucky guy. We send the lucky guy over
They
there.
know what they're doing. Exactly.
All right, so we're gonna let you go back. Do you want to touch base on anything before you go back?
No, that's about it. I want to save some of the wire stuff for next week, because we are bringing them on. So there's some interesting stuff happening there, and really for you guys to tune in next week, because I think that's going to be a really awesome episode where the timing could not be better, because I am sure that they are, with a huge acquisition like that, we're not the only place clapping at their feet to try to bring them on board to interview them.
Yeah, maybe they'll be starting to think, well, did the Embr guys know about it? We'll let you think about it. In the meantime, enjoy Bitcoin 2022, Rob, and looking forward to seeing you when you get back. And not seeing you for real, but seeing you back in your normal environment. and see everyone next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Take it easy, Jay.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Today at Embr. If you like the show, please rate and review. You can find us on all of the major podcasting platforms. You can also tune in to our live stream on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for listening, and see you on the next episode.